Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you being here. One thing I do notice, in my last video, my wife brought this attention to me as well. My audio levels were a little bit low, so I'm going to try talking into the mic a little bit more, seeing if I can get some more volume pumped out of this thing. Also adding a little bit of music. This week is rock, next week may be country, folk, bluegrass, blues, electric, hip-hop. Who knows? I'm going to be all over the board with this thing just to try to make it entertaining, bring some humor. Right here, what you're seeing is my second warm-up set of 135. Right now, I'm just getting loose and getting warmed up for my heavier sets later. Working on a little bit of pause down at the bottom just to make sure that I am okay with pausing. This is my last week of this actual workout. Next week, I'll be starting my actual meet prep, doing a lot of 1s and 2s on my reps. Not going to be doing a whole lot of high rep stuff from here on out, so the videos may be a little bit quicker in the future, so do be aware of that. Right here, I think I'm loading up 165 on the bar. Again, this is my third working set. If anybody wants to see what my full sets look like from warm up to the end, I'd be glad to show you. I just don't feel like it's appropriate to show everybody at this time. Warming up is warming up. It'll be different from everybody. I warm up a little bit differently than everybody else does. It's good to always warm up your rotator cuffs and your shoulders in this case, just to make sure you get a good stretch, make sure you're comfortable. A lot of people limber up their wrists too. I don't feel the need for that. My wrists are already pretty limber. I don't feel the need that is helping me if I do that. In the future, whenever I'm getting into heavier weights, I may end up including that into my warm-up routine, and I'll be able to show you. Right here, you're just seeing me just get that stuff out of my backpack. This is super exciting stuff. Right here, I'm getting my wrist wraps for my heavier weight loads later on in the workout. I wear them for flat bench right now only because it is the only thing I'm loading up to a super heavy weight at this time. So you're going to see me get those out and start on this next set. I do apologize for the quick cuts. It is something I'm working on, trying to figure out how to do some fade cutting, some more experienced stuff with this video editing software, so I do apologize for that. One thing you're going to notice here is I do put my feet on the bench. That way I make sure to get my lats firmly planted on the bench. You're going to see me arch as much as I possibly can. What arching does, it just makes sure to get your chest off the bench, make sure that you're getting a little bit more height. That way you're moving less. What I need to work on here is making sure I get a better arch and using some leg drive. I have a problem with leg drive. It is something that I'm working on. I feel like I do not utilize my leg drive at all. Leg drive is very important with bench. A lot of people don't understand is whenever you're pressing back, especially whenever your lats are pushed into the bench, you're pushing back against them, getting a little bit more leverage. Powerlifting is all about leverage and making sure the weight moves as smoothly in a clear path as possible. So I'm trying to work on that. It's something that I'm going to have to work on the next few weeks just to make sure I'm ready for my actual powerlifting meet. Right now I'm loading 185 on the bar. I don't believe I go into wraps just yet at this time. This is still pretty mediocre weight for me. I'm not getting up there yet. I could move this for a couple of reps pretty easily. It's not something I need wraps for. It's also something I don't want to use wraps for, something that I don't need them for. Building up some of the smaller muscles around your wrist is also pretty important to make sure that you're stable in the bench press. The next set that you're going to see me do after this 185, I want to move the camera around. Oh, here it is. I'm actually going to do it on this 185 set. You're going to actually see the bar path a little bit differently on this. I'm working on the bar path moving from my chest back towards the bench. What that does, again, it just makes a little bit more power come out, especially whenever you're moving your arms the way that you're moving during a powerlifting style bench press. Again, you can see the good arch that I do have here. I would like to say if somebody put their hand underneath where my back is arched, you could probably reach most of the way under. Again, it's something that I need to work on. I've read some different stories that a lot of people use a deflated youth-sized football to put under their back to help them arch a little bit, but it's not something I've utilized yet. I'm trying to work on my back flexibility to get a little bit more arch in there. That was a really good example of watching the weights move in the correct bar path. I could actually use to go a little bit further back towards the rack of the bench. It's hard on these bench press those where I'm working out at, because there's little clips on the bars, bar catches, that will end up catching you and stopping your bench press, and it just completely halts the bench press, and I do not want to do that. I could prevent injury by not doing that and moving on by just doing the best that I can. During my meet, I might try to overextend backwards a little bit more, just to try to get a little bit more power back. Right here, this is 205. This is actually getting up a little bit higher. This is where I will put on my wrist wraps. I'm going to show you how to do it here, walk you through a little bit of it. Most wrist wraps that you see, most good wrist wraps that you see, you're going to have these little thing called thumb loops, and the next time I'll actually show a video of me putting them on a little bit closer up. This is just showing the process that I go through with them. At that point right there, you see me actually realize, oh, I had it on backwards, so I flip it around. Most people use the thumb loop to actually wrap it around their thumb and then wrap your wrists with the wraps. I do not do that. I want a little bit more extension up on my upper wrist and lower wrist, so what I do is hold on to that thumb wrap with my middle finger. That way I can keep a hold of the wrap and wrap it tightly around my wrist. Here you see me actually tucking the little thumb loop in. That is something important. You cannot have that thumb loop extended while in the meet, so you have to pack it in. It's something else that I have to remember during meet day, so I always practice it now. You're actually going to see me unwrap my wrists here a couple of times, make sure that they're wrapped tightly. I want to make sure that they're wrapped tight. These should almost be what you would call a cast on your arm. They want to be thick. They want to be sturdy. They want to make sure that they hold onto your wrist and make sure that your wrist is not moving. You're actually going to see me put my hand into some flexion here to show that I cannot move my hand that far backwards. That's always a good test. If you move your hand too far backwards, you can move it, then you need to re-wrap. Wrap them a little bit higher. Just make sure that you're not on your knuckles. You can be about a half inch above your actual wrists on bottom and top, but beyond that, you're running into being a disqualification. Right here again, this is 205 that I'm going to do. I believe this is just for one set, for one rep. Again, arching, making sure my feet are under me. I do believe that I try to get a little bit more leg drive here than I normally do. That's just for practice. There's a little bit of jump. You see a little bit of it. It's not a whole lot. I wish I had more in me. That was a set of 2, by the way. Again, something I got to work on in the future. This next is going to be my max rep set for the day. Again, this is the last time that I'm going to be doing this workout until after my meet. Then after my meet, I'm going to be switching it up a little bit, and I'll explain a little bit of that later. My next set is going to be of 220. You'll see me load the weights on. It's something important I do want to stress out, guys. Whenever you're going for something heavy that you don't think that you're going to be able to get multiple times, it's always good to have a spotter. So make sure that there's somebody there that's able to help you. If there's not somebody there that's able to help you in a necessary situation, lighten up the load. Don't hurt yourself. Don't injure yourself. Don't do something stupid and then make you go backwards. You don't want to go backwards in this game. You want to make sure to always move forward. Moving forward is the key. Moving forward in weights, moving forward, making sure that you're doing the things that you're needing to do. As you can also tell, I have to bring my own 2.5 pound weights on this day because the gym doesn't have 2.5 pound plates. They end up having these rubber plates that I do not like. I don't feel like they're very even in some spots. But again, I just bring what I have to make sure that I get the work I can get in. This guy in the black right here is actually going to help me out. I'm telling him what I need. It's also important whenever you have a spotter. Tell them what you need, what you're asking from them during the session. Here I just tell them, hey, I'm going to need a lift off. Make sure to get it to my nipples. Once it's there, you can let go of it, and then I'll stabilize it and go from there. I also told him to let me go to failure. Let me go as far as I can and fail before I actually give it up. I told him I would tell him when that is, and he did a great job, so I do appreciate this guy helping me out. Here you see the good bar path. That first one moved pretty well, and the second one moved pretty well too. At this point, I kind of knew that something was not going to move the second time. Something I need to work on is getting it off my chest. If I feel like I can get it off my chest a few inches, I should be able to lift it and go from there. Something else, guys, make sure to thank your spotters as well, guys. They'll save you, I promise. This next exercise you're going to see me do is going to be doing some heavy close grip bench press for the first few sets. Close grip bench press just works on your triceps, making sure that you get some movement in your triceps as well. Later on, I do a more full workout version for my triceps, and I go from there. Something I do a little bit differently whenever I'm doing these higher rep exercises, I bring my head off the mat a little bit just to make sure that I get a good contraction in, especially with my triceps. I don't usually feel my triceps move that well and get a good pump. So I always bring my head up a little bit. I feel like I get a little bit more extension on my lifts, a little bit more stretch. So that's something that maybe you can also implement on your lifts. These are some pretty quick cuts, guys. I'm not going back this quickly, so do be aware of that. Again, this is 165 for some close grip. You're not going to see much different here. You're going to see me get a little bit more tired as the weights go up, or the weights keep going here. I'll start to slow down, but it's important to keep pressing on. Right here I had a plan for, I believe, 4 sets, and then a back down set at 135, and then a back down set at 95. I believe I caught 3 sets of close grip heavyweight here. Not quite sure. I did change the angle up. I think this is where I lost the 3rd set, but I can't be sure until we actually get to it. You're actually going to see the good contraction here, the close grip that I use. I move my hands a lot during close grip. I'll move my hands to the inside of the knurling, to the knurling, a little bit closer off the knurling in the middle. The knurling, what I'm referring to, is the actual side that's like a grater on the bar. What that does is it makes sure it hits from all angles. Whenever you're working these muscles, you want to work all angles and make sure that you're getting good work in. If you feel something moving better on one end, then again, move it to something else. You might need more work on another angle. That might help you more than just keeping it the same. Here's my set of 135. I'm going to go for a few more reps here than I did on the 165. This moves a little bit easier. Again, you're going to see the big full contraction again at the top. I always hyperextend a little bit at the top, or try to hyperextend at the top. My left arm, for some reason, doesn't extend as far as my right. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure if I have a shoulder issue or something that keeps flaming up. Doesn't necessarily hurt. It's just you see the bar just doesn't go as high on the left-hand side. I still get the full contraction, and I still make sure to get the full range of motion. It's just something that I've noticed that the left side just ends up being a little bit lower than the rest. The next exercise you're going to see me do again is going to be more close grip bench press. It's going to be a little bit lighter here at 95 pounds. I'm going to do a full burnout set. What you're going to see here is me go as many reps as I possibly can without stopping, pausing at the top, keep moving on, making sure that I get as much work in with my triceps as possible. It's important to do it now because in the next few weeks I won't be working out my triceps, my secondary muscles as much. I need to work on my core lifts, making sure that I get those core lifts up as heavy as I possibly can. So I'll be focusing on the core lifts, making sure that I get that movement in well. Here's it moving pretty quick. I'm feeling pretty good at this point. I'm a little bit burnt out, but it's not too bad. Again, I'm a little bit tired already, so I'm just moving through these as fast as I possibly can, making sure to get full range of motion in the actual lift. You're seeing me actually pause here at the top. That's because I'm out of breath. I need to catch my breath and make sure that I'm actually going to be able to get the next set of reps in. It's always important to make sure to try to finish what you start. And in this case, I had a number that I was going for, and I hit it in my head, so I made sure to try to go past it. Went past it a little bit, and then racked the weight, especially after a full workout session of bench press, then close grip bench. I was pretty burnt out already, but I needed to hit some other things as well. This next exercise you're going to see is going to be some decline on the special bench here at the gym. what I like to call the ball buster. It is a mess trying to get on this thing. You don't see it here, but there is a leg catch at the very end here. That way you put your feet in. If you misjudge where your feet go, where I'm holding there's a handle to help you. That handle will dismantle your manhood pretty quickly, guys. So I'm pretty gentle when getting on this thing. I'm not flying on it and flying off. One thing I'm doing here is I'm trying to work on my lower pecs a little bit wider out. This is very wide for me, so I'm not having a big, huge range of motion here, but I am trying to work some different muscle sets as well. Here I'm working a lot of shoulders and a lot of the lower outer pecs just to get some blood flow in them, trying to help me get a little bit more extra weight on the bar for when I press. I feel like this is probably where I need to go once I start going into competition bench at some point, out that wide. But again, it's not something that I can normally do on bench press. I'm not that strong out that wide yet. It's something I have to work up to. Right here you see me go to 155 here. I'm going to do this for a set, do pretty easy on this, then I move up to I believe 165 and I complete I believe 3 sets of that at 5 reps apiece. Yeah, here you go again, being real gentle with the family jewels there. One thing that you also want to make sure whenever you're doing this, guys, get your hands even. Make sure your hands are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Grip the bar tightly. Make sure to squeeze it. Make sure you're even. If you're off kilter at all whenever you're out this wide, you're going to feel it and know it immediately. These move pretty well. I'm pretty excited with these at this point. I didn't figure I was going to go up to this high. It's usually one of my weaker points, but I felt like I've been working on it quite a bit, so I was pretty excited to go up that high and be that comfortable. Here you actually see me stretch out that right shoulder. That is something that you just have to do whenever you're going out that wide. Your shoulders are just going to get taxed immediately going out that wide. Here I am loading up the 165 on the bar. Again, I did 3 sets of this for 5 reps apiece. I'm not sure if I caught all 3 sets of this, but again, I'm not trying to show you everything I do here. I'm just trying to show you exactly what I try to work on, some key points during the lifts, make sure everybody understands what I'm doing. If you have any questions, guys, just make sure to comment down below and I'll try to answer as much as I possibly can. These videos are going to come out pretty quick right here at the beginning, but then they're going to slow down because I don't feel like there's going to be enough material to make multiple videos a week. More than likely I'll probably go a couple videos a week, maybe 1 video a week depending, especially with lifting. I do have some other video ideas in the future that I'm going to talk about, mainly my bariatric surgery, and I've actually had a request from some people to do kind of a background about my eyesight, guys. I am a legally blind individual, so a lot of people have questions on it and how I progress through life and what's all happened in my life, and I'd be glad to share that story with whoever wants to hear it. So that's something else I'm going to work on. I'm trying to get a good setup here at home, that way I can get that out and look somewhat professional. Here again, being gentle, making sure not to crush some important stuff. Again, out wide again. This is pretty simple stuff. This is actually getting on the top end of my wide grip decline. Whenever you're doing decline, you're doing a lot smaller muscle groups. And then whenever you're going out wide grip like this, you're even working even smaller muscle groups because you're not even getting the full contraction of the larger pectoral minor that you're trying to actually work on. These move pretty good. I was surprised to see that these move that well. Still working on them. I want to get up a little bit higher. I'd like to get up to about 205 and be comfortable with it. But again, it's something I don't want to burn myself out this close to the actual competition that I'm going to be in. Again, while this goes through, guys, I'm not going to comment anymore on this bench press here because again, I'm just going to repeat myself. In the future, my next training sessions that I'm going to be doing after this next meet prep, going into my meet, I'm going to try to do the one here in College Station, the Aggie Open, I believe is what it's called. That is going to be in February. I'm going to try to be doing what is called the conjugate system. One thing that I have a big issue with is making sure that I get force production at the bottom at the lifts and going through the lifts itself. I don't feel that I move the weights quick enough and forcefully enough to move them effectively. What the conjugate method does is it brings in old Russian training techniques used back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, brought over by Louis Simmons, and he mastered these techniques at Westside Barbell. So I'm going to try to implement them as much as I can here at this gym. I don't have all the implementation that I would like to use, such as bands and chains, but I have requested some of those items to see if I can actually get some of those so I can use those and effectively work out. I'll speak on that a little bit more here in just a second. I want to introduce this next exercise. This is the lat pull down. One thing I always focus on during my chest days is I go through and I make sure that I hit the opposite side of the muscles that I'm working. So if I'm working chest, I want to be working directly behind them. I'm going to do some actual lat workout too. If you're not able to contract your lats, you're not going to have a good bench press. It's just not going to happen. You can be as strong up front as you possibly can, but if you're not strong in the back, you're not as strong as you possibly can be. Right here is just a warm-up set. I'm just getting a good contraction. You're going to see me stretch out here a few times all the way up at the top, just like right now. This is me stretching out my lats, making sure I get a full contraction. A lot of people don't tell you to lean back this far. This makes me comfortable in the lift. If I do not lean back that far, I do not get good contraction. I don't feel it at all. One thing that you're trying to look for whenever you're doing the lat pull down is trying to get your elbows to touch each other behind you, or trying to get your shoulder blades to touch behind you as well. That is what you call peak contraction during this exercise. Again, it's just something that you work on. I go up to a moderately heavy weight. I believe I get up to 140 pounds here, maybe 120 pounds, but I believe I went up to 140 for one set, I believe, of 5. I don't know if I show that here again. I don't want to show you the same things and be just super repetitious all the time. I want to make sure that I'm showing you something different, something new. That way you can try to implement this in your own life here. So back to the conjugate system. With Louis Simmons bringing this over, this is all about force production. So during 1 day a week, for each section of your body, they set it up into 2 sections. So you have an upper body day, a lower body day. You have 2 workout days per section a week. First day is always going to be your max effort day on one set. The next day is going to be your dynamic effort. Max effort is exactly what it sounds like. Getting maximum weight on the bar, doing it as many times as you can. Usually 1 to 2 to 3 reps for about 10 sets. Trying to get as much weight on the bar, trying to move as much as you can. That way you have that tension on your muscles and you understand how to move it. Dynamic effort is the exact opposite. You're cutting your weight back from your max up to 50%. A lot of times, a lot of people even go low as 40% to move the bar as quickly as possible. Something that you learn in high school physics is force equals mass times acceleration. So the faster that you can move an object, the more force you can put into an object. So that's something that you work on naturally during doing the conjugate system. It's something I'm going to implement. I'm not going to be good at the beginning. I'm going to see what kind of results I get, at least until the Aggie Land Open, and then after that I'll try to move on to something else. Eventually, if I start feeling like I'm getting stuck in a plateau and I'm not moving anywhere, I will hire a coach. I have no problem doing that. I am working off of what I know best and how to build the muscle that I know how to build, and trying to move the weight as best as I can. In high school, I did very well at this, so again, I do have some background in it. So I'm kind of going off of that. I'm also using a system that I have online, which is what I'm finishing up here. It was a 16-week program. Did very well, but I believe I'm plateaued on it. It has a lot of emphasis on moving a lot of reps at the very beginning, and I don't feel like I'm getting enough reps at the high weight that I would need to produce. So again, this is where I'm moving into the conjugate system. Something I want to do is have a actual higher max, not necessarily move more weight more times. I want to move the most weight one time and one time only. This next set right here that you're seeing, this is going to be what I call a drop set. I'm starting at a very high weight, doing as many reps as I can, moving the weight down a little bit, and then continuing on with the exercise. At this point, my lats are pretty burnt out. I am trying to move this weight as best as I possibly can. You're going to see me stop and stretch out a lot here. My muscles at this point are cramping up, seizing up. The lactic acid is built up to a point to where it is hard to stand pulling this implement down. You'll see me drop it down again. I believe I dropped down 4 times here before I finally stop and finally just realized there's just not a lot of movement left in my lats. So I keep going on from here. There's not a whole lot more to talk about on this exercise. Again, I'm going to emphasize big back, big front. You got a big lats, you're going to have a big bench press. It's just something that powerlifters have used for a long time, getting a lot of lat work in. It's not the only days I do back work. I do back work every time I do chest or press. And then I also do some back work whenever I do deadlift day, which will be tomorrow. I'm recording this a day after this workout session. I'll try to have this video out tonight. During my deadlift session day, I will normally do lower back, is more of an emphasis on lower back. Trying to get my lower back and my hips a little bit stronger. And then, like I said, I'm going to do lat workout during my press days. Here you can see I'm a little bit more upright. This weight's not making me force my shoulder blades together as much at this point because I've already burnt them out. They're already as taxed as they're going to be. So I'm stretching, I'm doing as much as I can here, and then I'm just going through the motions. Right there, I believe that's it. Let's see. Nope, I do one more. I do one more just for good measure, just to get a little bit more work in here. So again, I'm staying more upright. I'm doing a little bit of contraction here, holding the contraction, trying to force the blood into my lats, trying to get them to grow a little bit more, make sure I have big back, big front. Something that you'll hear me repeat over and over again. This is a good movement for anybody, especially if you're trying to build big back here. This is a good movement for building a wider, more V-shaped back. So if you look at some of the bodybuilders, pro bodybuilders, look at Ronnie Coleman from the backside. He looks like a giant V. This is where he got that from. A lot of pulls, a lot of actual rows. Doing rows is very important as well. I don't do rows on this day. This is not the day that I do those, but I do them. It's just not today for that. Next exercises you're going to see me do is I'm going to go into some triceps here, guys. Triceps are very important for bench press. This is how you get some power out of the bottom. Right here you're going to see me start to warm up. Right here I don't have anything on the actual pulley itself. I'm actually gripping the ball, trying to squeeze it as tight as I possibly can. I feel like I get a little bit better contraction that way if I'm squeezing that ball. It also helps me bring my arm forward a little bit more so that I don't have something in my way. That way I can move my arm with full extension here. You're going to see me warm up a couple of times. The next weight will be a little bit heavier. Something else that you'll notice, you'll see my arm start out on the side here. Then you're actually going to see it go kind of across my body. That is just me feeling the motion. I wasn't feeling it on the outside, so I decided to move it somewhere where I did feel the work. I felt the work going across my body, so went ahead and started doing that. It's always good whenever you're doing these kind of lifts. If it doesn't feel right, if you're not feeling it where you want to feel it, move it around. Do something. Change the grip, change the angle, change the weight. Do whatever you need to do. Just make sure you're actually getting work in at some point. I moved the camera back here a little bit just to make sure that you're getting me in full frame. Again, this is me moving the weight, still gripping the ball here. I'm going to go through a couple more sets. I believe one more set of this before I move on to my actual working sets that I have. The next day that you'll see me whenever I do chest again, I do chest twice a week, chest and triceps twice a week now just to try to work on my weak points. I'm going to be doing a little bit more high repetition stuff. I'm going to be trying to go upwards of 30 reps on these next few sets the next couple of days to get a little bit more work into them. That's something that I've learned from the conjugate system, reading about it and going through that. The smaller muscle groups, you're not going to try to blast them every day with the heaviest weight that you can possibly get on them. It's good to do that every now and then, but it's not something that you want to do. The smaller muscle groups just cannot forcibly move these heavy weights like a smaller weight group, like a larger muscle group can. Here I put on the easy bar. Going to do some push downs and some reverse push downs here. These are great for getting some force production into your bench press, into moving your inner and outer triceps. A lot of people don't realize that there's two heads of the tricep. There's the inner and there's the outer. The outer side tends to be a little bit bigger, but does not tend to be as strong as the inside. The inside is a smaller muscle, but it tends to be a little bit stronger. So the stronger that your inside tricep is, usually the little bit stronger your bench press is going to be as well. Here you're seeing me do some moderately heavy push downs. Not really struggling at this point, and just trying to get the contraction and trying to get the stretch. Whenever you see contraction on anything that you're pushing, contraction is at the actual bottom or the top of the lift. Here it's at the bottom. You don't get the contraction in the muscle at the top. That is where the muscle is stretching. So it's something that you need to be aware of. Again, like I said the other day, whenever I was doing the deep squats on the leg press machine, you want to be able to contract and you want to be able to extend those muscles. That is where you get the muscle growth and the power from. Here's reverse. This is me just doing a moderately heavy set of this as well. This is a little bit more taxing. Again, moving a little bit more weight with a smaller muscle. It's actually the same weight, but again, smaller muscle using the same weight. I believe I get the same amount of reps at this point. You're not actually seeing my inner tricep working all that much here. It's kind of hard to tape that angle unless I move the camera around about 50 different times, so I kept it here. The next few sets you're going to see me go back and forth, and then at the very end you'll see me go to a rope overhead extension for a couple of burnout sets. That's just to get that little extra work in again. I want to make sure that I hit everything that I can, make sure that I do everything I can. I'm not doing this to give a half-assed attempt at powerlifting meet. I want to do the best I can. I don't have any kind of thoughts on winning. That's not what this is about for me, guys. This is about for me competing again, making sure that I am able to compete. I wanted to be able to compete for so long in something, and with my weight, my restriction, I was not able to do that. So this is very important, making sure that I'm able to do that. So I want to give this everything that I have in every fiber of my being. I want to compete. Whether I win or not doesn't matter. I also wanted to be a part of something again. For so long in my life, I didn't feel like I was a part of anything, and I didn't have any self-worth. At this point, I feel like I'm worth something again, guys. I feel like I'm actually going through and making myself better and making myself worth more. Not to everybody else. I'm not worried about worth for everybody else, for everyone else. I'm worried about my self-worth. If you can't feel good about yourself, you can't feel good about anything. It's important to stay positive. It's important to make sure to keep trying. Try everything that you can to better yourself in every opportunity that you have. For so long I missed that in my life, and I finally found my passion again. This is my passion. I might not be good at it. I might not be great at it. I might not be bad at it. I might be worse than bad. But I am doing something. I am doing something with my life that I enjoy, and something that is bringing me some enjoyment. By the way, guys, I hope you caught that catch. That was amazing. I did it at the gym, and I kind of smiled at myself. I was like, that's going to be cool on video. I don't know if it picked it up that well on camera, but I thought it was cool in my head. But again, back to the enjoyment of this, guys. This is something that I'm able to get my anxiety out on. I'm able to do something with my life at this gym, doing this workout and going through it. Here you're going to hear the music cut off here in a little bit. At that point, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the day. Once again, guys, I want you to follow, like, and subscribe. It really helps me out. I do have some links down in the bottom of this page here, this YouTube video. If you buy anything, I do get a cut of those profits, so do be aware of that. I have Strength Shop USA is the people I'm affiliated with. That is where I'm getting most of my weightlifting gear through here. You see my knee sleeves, they're Strength Shop USA. I just bought a singlet. I actually got in last night and tried on, and I absolutely love, from Strength Shop USA. You'll see it once I go into my meet. I'll actually debut that for everybody. That way y'all see me in my skin tight uniform there. So I know everybody's super excited about that. So be mindful of that. Strength Shop USA covers everything from chalk, from some grips, from belts to socks to shirts. Everything that you need to power lift, they have it at a reasonable price, guys. And I'm saying reasonable because it is reasonable. A lot of this powerlifting stuff that I'm using, very expensive, but Strength Shop USA is some of the cheapest and best stuff that you can buy. Everything is quality. Everything that they put out has thought behind it, and they're trying to make this accessible for everybody. Even if you don't buy anything, guys, I suggest going and taking a look at the actual website. It's very cool to look at. They have a ton of stuff. They also have a product called Nose Torque on there that is actually ammonia. I'm actually going to pick some of that up before the weightlifting meet. That way I can get a little bit of kick before I go into my actual lifts. Back to this, I am going through my burnout set here with the overhead tricep extensions. I do 2 sets of these and I call it a day. At this point, I am tired, guys. I am burnt out. I am ready to go home. I'm ready to go pick up the little girl. I'm ready to cook dinner and eat. Even though I'm eating about 2 ounces of something, I still need something in my belly at this point. I am spent. Right here, you're going to hear the music cut off, guys. Again, I'm trying to figure out this music thing as well, as along with the video and the recording of my voice on this. If this is low again, I'll try to change it up. If it's the right volume, I'm actually marking it on here. That way I can have the correct volume at all times. One thing else, guys, I want to mention again is like, follow, subscribe. I have my Instagram and Facebook linked in the bottom as well. That way you can follow me on there as well. My Instagram is not fully fleshed out as of yet. I am working on that. That is something that I do need to work on and go through. Get some extra pictures, post some extra stuff on there, which I will be doing. I am not Insta famous yet. I am not Facebook famous. I am not YouTube famous. This is just some kind of a passion project for me, and I hope everybody enjoys it. So if you do like, follow, and subscribe, it does help me out. I do have a goal. I do want to reach 1,000 followers or 1,000 subscribers. That's what I want. If I feel like I do that, I feel like I can do anything on this planet. Honestly, it is kind of one of those measurements that every YouTuber goes through, and that's something exciting that I get through. Right now, I don't have that many. But again, I want to keep putting those videos out, try to keep getting some content out for you, and hopefully everybody enjoys. So as of right now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you for watching. Like, follow, and subscribe, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great day.